This is one of the reasons why these old engines, these old 617s are so bulletproof. Look at the oil pump chain. That is a double row timing chain. Look how beefy that is. Those things just never fail. They never break. Now, if we look up... Hey guys, so in the last video, we finished all of the front suspension rebuild on the 1981 300 SD. Now I'm going to go ahead and change the oil pan and oil pan gasket, and I want to do the oil cooler lines. But before I do that, I want to show you guys what I've done in the engine compartment. You might have seen this in a previous video, but we'll show it again. And I'm going to go ahead and remount the air cleaner air filter housing. So I've taken every component off of this engine compartment and I sent it out to California and had it replated, cadmium plated. And I don't know how many times I've shown this in the video, but it looks freaking fantastic. I mean, every little clip, every little detail I sent back out to make it factory original. I even found an old stock air cleaner housing mounting bracket that a guy that I know locally in town, he had a stash of Mercedes parts, so I grabbed that. So now we want to go ahead and put back on this air filter housing. All right, we've got all the new bushings. I think you can see there's one right here, air cleaner housing bushings. So let's go ahead and get this mounted back on the engine. We'll put it around the front of the turbo, and then there's a drain tube back here. You got to make sure the drain tube goes in. There we go. Okay, got that mounted right. Got the intake and turbo tube tightened down. Now I'm just putting the nuts down on the bushings. I just want to see what this looks like, all finished. Let's put that over there. There we go. Guys, this is some of my best work yet. Yeah, look how fantastic that looks. Now, I got a chance to compare this to an original car that had all the original cadmium plating, and this is identical. I'll splice that into the video here and show you guys that little segment. So this shows me, because this car right here, that's a perfect original condition. So I can see exactly what it looked like from the factory. And guys, I think I nailed it to what Mercedes did. That's 40 years old, guys. That's ridiculous. Never seen that nice on an engine before. But this looks absolutely amazing. So let's go ahead and get underneath the car now, and let's change this oil pan. I'm really proud of that. Some of my best work. All right, guys, there's that dirty old oil pan. Let's go ahead and get that thing off of here. 20 little bolts that go around the edges, and they're only in there at 15 or at 8 Newton meters. You don't torque them tight. Now keep in mind, this one has a, that one has a spacer. There you go. There's a spacer to hold the oil cooler line for the transmission on that one. All right, that's it. But not much. So we got this thing off. What we're looking at here, there's our oil dipstick tube. This is the oil filter, or the screen. See, you can see right there. See the screen in there? That protects any debris from getting up into the oil pump. And look how beautiful it is in here, guys. So this is one of the reasons why these old engines, these old 617s are so bulletproof. Look at the oil pump chain. That is a double row timing chain. Look how beefy that is. Those things just never fail. They never break. Now, if we look up further in here, here's your main bearing caps. There's number 1 and number 2. You can see your timing chain is right over there. And if you look up in there, we see there's one of the piston oil squirters. Let's see if I can zoom in. See right there? That is an actual squirter, and you can see there's the bottom of the piston. Now, if you look closely, see that piston squirter squirts into that hole? Well, that every time that piston rotates, there's the rod. You can see there's our rod cap right there. And that squirter squirts fresh oil up into that piston every time it turns. That's why these engines last so long. Back here we can see one of the counterweights on the crank. And this is just fantastic looking in here. Look how nice that is. Probably hadn't been opened since 1981. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to clean around the edges here and get a fresh oil pan gasket and a fresh oil pan on here. And that will look really, really nice. All right, guys. Now that we've got the pan off, I went ahead and wiped it down. And I just want to come around here with a razor blade and make sure there's no debris where we're going to put our fresh pan gasket. Make sure there's no residual gasket on there. And this one actually came off really, really good. There's a little bit right there. See that old gasket coming off? And you don't have to get it perfect, guys, but just smooth it out and clean it up a little bit. Gives you a nice sealing surface for that new pan. And then as a final step, I like to just go around it with some acetone on a rag. All right, got our acetone on a rag here, and that just gets it absolutely clean and gets any oil or anything, contaminants off that surface. All right, that's as clean as we're going to get that, guys. So let's get our oil pan. All right, I like to use, you can see Victor Rines. They make good products. I like their gaskets. L-Ring also makes good products. And you can see how thick these are. So, see how thick that gasket is? It's a few millimeters. So that will absorb, if you have, it's like that, because if you have a slight imperfection in your pan, that will absorb that imperfection. So what I want to do is just get 2 bolts started to hold it up there. And we'll do that by hand. And then we're going to clean up all our original bolts and see what they look like and see if I want to reuse these or use our brand new bolts. All right, we'll get one started and lined up just to get the gasket lined up. All right, there's one. And here we go. We'll get that one started right there. Now, guys, you do not torque these bolts down. These are only in there at 8 Newton meters, which is like literally no torque. That is just like barely snug. If you torque them down, you're going to bend your pan and it's not going to seal correctly. All right. Gasket's all lined up. All our holes are lined up. So now let's go ahead and clean up these original bolts before we put them all in there and see what they look like. Look how good that looks. All right, guys, here we are at the wash tank. Easily the best tool I've ever invested in at the shop. I actually got this thing for free from an old shop that was closing down. But let's see what these original bolts come out like. Oh yeah, some of these cleaned up really nice. Look at that. Looks like a brand new bolt. But some of them, yeah, here's all the good ones. Yeah, here we go. That one right there. See how it's got some surface rust on the bolt head? I don't like that. We're not putting that back in there. So I'll just keep the ones that I really like, and then we'll use our brand new bolts. I know this is picky, guys, but that's how I like to restore these cars. You do it right and just do the best job you can, and it all pays off in the end. When you pay attention to the details on every little component, when it all comes together at the end and you've paid attention to all the details, you have an outstanding restoration. And that's what it's all about. All right, guys, you just take your time and you run them down by hand. Just get them a little snug. And then you come back with a torque wrench and you torque them down the rest of the way. All right, guys, pay attention. This is how you do it. This is in inch-pounds. So 8 Newton meters, converting that to the SAE system, inch-pounds is 70 inch-pounds. And guys, that is not very much. Watch, let me show you. That's it. That is it. It is so light torque. See, that is not much at all. And if you over torque these, you're going to mess up your seal and your oil pan, and it will never seal. See, I like that. All right, guys, that's it. Now we have our beautiful new oil pan. All right, so the next thing I want to do is get these crusty old oil cooler lines out of here. So let's go ahead and lower the car a little bit, and I've already got them loose and disconnected. Now we just need to fish them out of here and put in some new ones. And look how beautiful these new ones are. Some of these are not cadmium plated. Yeah, this is the 123 line here. There we go. There's a 126 line. Look how it's got that beautiful cadmium plating on there. That's an original line, guys. So we're going to get that on here and continue on.